I never expected a simple neighborhood block party to become the night my entire marriage changed. It was supposed to be a relaxing evening. Our street organized the event every summer, and my wife Megan had been excited about seeing everyone. I spent the afternoon helping neighbors set up tables, arranging chairs, and preparing food while she focused on getting ready. When we arrived, everyone seemed happy and relaxed. People were laughing, sharing stories, and enjoying the music. But as the evening continued, I started noticing something familiar. Megan seemed irritated by everything I said. Every joke I made received an eye roll. Every comment I shared was met with a sarcastic response. At one point, I mentioned a funny story from work, and she looked at me in front of everyone and sighed, "You always have to make everything about you, don't you?" A few people nearby became quiet. I smiled politely and walked away because I didn't want to create an argument at someone else's party. What I didn't know was that a few minutes later, someone else would say something that would make Megan regret treating me that way. I walked over to the drinks table, trying to enjoy the evening without letting Megan's attitude ruin it. That's when our neighbor Olivia approached me. She had always been friendly, but we had only ever exchanged casual conversations as neighbors. She smiled and asked how I was doing. We talked for a few minutes about the neighborhood, hobbies, and life in general. Then she looked at me seriously and said something I never expected to hear. "Can I ask you something?" she said. Before I could answer, she continued, "Are you single? I've been wanting to ask you out for a while." For a second, I thought I had misunderstood her. I looked around, realizing Megan was standing only a few feet away and had heard every word. The reaction on her face was immediate. Her eyes widened. The confident expression she had worn all evening disappeared. Then, still holding her drink, she accidentally loosened her grip. The glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the ground. The entire area became quiet as everyone turned toward the sound of breaking glass. Megan looked embarrassed, but what shocked me wasn't the broken glass. It was the look on her face. For the first time that night, she wasn't annoyed or dismissive. She looked worried. Olivia immediately apologized, realizing the situation had become uncomfortable. She explained that she had never meant to create tension and simply assumed I wasn't married because she had rarely seen us together in the neighborhood. I calmly told her, "I'm married." She nodded, apologized again, and walked away. But the damage had already been done. Megan approached me and quietly asked, "Why didn't you tell her?" I looked at her confused. "Tell her what?" I asked. She lowered her voice and said, "That you're married." I paused before answering. "The same way I tell everyone else. Through my actions." That answer made her silent because she knew exactly what I meant. Later that evening, Megan and I sat in the car before leaving the party. She was unusually quiet. Finally, she admitted that hearing another woman ask me out made her realize something she hadn't considered. She had become so comfortable assuming I would always be there that she stopped treating me like someone she needed to appreciate. I told her that the problem wasn't Olivia's question. The problem was how invisible I had felt standing beside my own wife. I reminded her that confidence doesn't come from knowing someone won't leave. It comes from knowing both people are choosing each other every day. Megan looked down and admitted that she had been taking our relationship for granted. She apologized for the way she had spoken to me in front of others and admitted that her constant criticism had become a habit she didn't even notice anymore. The block party didn't expose an affair or a hidden secret. It exposed something quieter. A relationship where one person had forgotten how valuable the other person really was. The drive home that night was much quieter than usual. Megan kept looking out the window, clearly thinking about everything that had happened. After several minutes, she finally said, "I didn't realize I had been making you feel that way." I looked ahead and replied calmly, "That's the part that hurts the most. Not that you made mistakes, but that you stopped noticing." She didn't argue. She admitted that over the years, she had become too comfortable in our marriage. She assumed that because I loved her, I would always tolerate the small comments, the dismissive looks, and the moments when she made me feel like I wasn't important. I told her that love doesn't mean someone stops having feelings. Even the strongest relationships can be damaged when one person constantly feels unappreciated. That night, Megan realized something she hadn't expected. The attention from another woman didn't make her angry because of jealousy alone. It made her uncomfortable because it forced her to see that someone else recognized qualities in me that she had stopped acknowledging. In the days that followed, Megan and I started having conversations we had avoided for a long time. We talked about how easily couples can become strangers while still living under the same roof. She admitted that she had focused so much on my flaws that she stopped appreciating my efforts. I also accepted that I had made mistakes by staying quiet whenever something bothered me. I thought ignoring small issues would keep peace, but instead, it allowed frustration to build inside me. We both learned that communication isn't only about discussing major problems. It's also about appreciating the small things before they disappear. Megan apologized for embarrassing me at the party and promised to be more mindful of how she treated me, especially in front of others. I told her I didn't need perfection. I needed respect, honesty, and the feeling that we were partners instead of opponents. That conversation became the beginning of a change neither of us expected. Over the next few months, I noticed the difference in Megan's actions. She started showing appreciation in small but meaningful ways. She asked about my day and actually listened. She stopped making jokes at my expense in front of friends. She began treating our relationship like something valuable instead of something guaranteed. I also changed the way I handled problems. Instead of keeping everything inside until I felt overwhelmed, I learned to communicate before resentment grew. We both understood that one conversation at a block party couldn't magically fix years of habits. Rebuilding a connection required patience and effort from both sides. But the important thing was that we were finally working toward the same goal. We weren't trying to prove who was right anymore. We were trying to become better partners. Sometimes a difficult moment doesn't destroy a relationship. Sometimes it reveals the exact things that need to change. Looking back, the moment Olivia asked, "Are you single? I've been wanting to ask you out," wasn't the thing that changed my marriage. It was simply the moment when Megan finally saw something she had forgotten. She saw that the person she had been dismissing was someone others respected and valued. The broken glass on the ground wasn't just an accident. It represented the shock of realizing how close she had come to losing something important because she stopped paying attention. That night taught both of us a powerful lesson. People don't usually leave because of one bad day. They leave after feeling unseen for too long. A relationship survives not because two people are perfect, but because they continue choosing to respect and appreciate each other. Sometimes it takes an unexpected moment, in front of unexpected people, to remind us of the person standing beside us. And sometimes the biggest wake-up call comes from realizing someone else noticed what we had stopped seeing.